Perfect. David, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So, David, you're currently working in kind of a brand and marketing role with Velo, and previous to that, you were marketing with O'Flynn Sausages. So, I suppose if you would just give a bit of kind of background on what you do for those brands, and kind of in your marketing chops.
I suppose I always say I kind of fell into marketing. I came from more of an actual music background, actually music management and that kind of background. I kind of fell in through hospitality into marketing, but I went into O'Flynn's first, working as a freelancer, was doing their social media, kind of evolved. It evolved into full-time marketing management role. So when I finished up with O'Flynn's, I was there 3.5 years. 3.5 years with those, and I'm a few months now into new position with Velo Coffee Roaster, so another local Cork food producer. So yeah, we produce here in Cork, just on the fringe of Cork City. Coffee we supply into retail, food service, all the things you'd expect, I suppose, from a coffee company. But it's been exciting. It's a new challenge, I suppose, even closely related in terms of food, I suppose, and food and drink, but totally different industries and totally different background stories to learn, and there's a lot involved in it, but as I said, very exciting.
Excellent. And in terms of your role in Velo, then you mentioned on with saying O'Flynn's, you were kind of doing a lot of the social media management. Are you doing the same thing with Velo at the moment?
Yeah, definitely. That's probably one of my main areas, social. So I came in and I took over the socials here, mainly kind of probably focusing on the organic day-to-day stuff, and then the paid advertising and stuff is actually still with the business owner. He's very good with that stuff, so he kept that on. So I would just do the organic stuff. So yeah, when I was with Velo, I was doing when I was with O'Flynn's, I was doing the exact same. Yeah.
Oh, very good.
Very good.
Social for them. So that was kind of where I kind of found myself. Yeah.
Sorry. Zoom calls. You're like, oh. So how did you come in and kind of look at what they're doing and come up with your own strategy? When you came in, with fresh eyes, sometimes you can come up with new things. How did you approach that?
As you said, like, it's always good for someone to come in with fresh eyes, and I think that's a good thing for any business, I suppose, because especially for the first couple of months, you're probably looking at things almost nearly from a customer point of view. You're totally on the outside because you're learning the business, you're learning the products, you're learning the team, so you're kind of coming in with total fresh eyes, which I think is always a good thing for a business, to kind of take it maybe to that next stage, or to look at what else can we be doing that we maybe never have thought before. So in terms of Velo, like, obviously, look, they're on the cusp of being a very, very big national brand in terms of the coffee industry. They're already selling nationwide. So there was always, I suppose, there was a bit of a strategy there, I suppose. But as I said, coming in with a bit of fresh eye, so I looked mainly focused on probably on the social media side of things. So like, I felt that we could probably make it a little bit more relatable, a bit more real, I suppose. But like any business, and even the clients you would work for, I suppose. You have a lot of business owners running social media, and they just don't have the time. They have a 1,001 things to do every day. Posting on Facebook is not going to be the top of their priority. So sometimes it gets done in a rush, it gets done in the panic, and it's kind of haphazard, I suppose. Whereas there's, sometimes you just need someone to take a little bit of love and put a little bit of passion into it, and think about what they're doing day to day. And it might be wrong, it might be right, but it's someone else to kind of take it off and put a new spin on it. So I suppose that's what I kind of came into Velo, and I looked at the social and I thought, right, what can I do here to maybe improve a little bit? And one of the main things I wanted to do was to get engagement rates up. That was the big thing. There wasn't much engagement rate coming from the post, so trying to focus on that, I suppose.
So in terms, David, there's the Zoom clash again.
You go the step. We're very bad today.
So, David, in terms of coming in with those fresh eyes, we'll say, what kind of strategies and kind of what tools as well do you use to come up with the ideas of the content, and then to the tools you use to deploy it, basically?
I would be very much. I'm not big into sitting down and using the scheduling platform or anything like that. I kind of like to keep things a bit real, and I suppose in the moment, as we all know, and we've all heard the saying 1,000 times, the social is meant to be social. So it does take a bit of I suppose a bit of time every day getting posts up or commenting back to people and literally having a conversation with them, building up. I would be big into relationship management in terms of online. So, you know, and with your customers. So like I would take a bit of time to write back to someone, or, you know, not just favorite the tweet or like the tweet or whatever, you know, like I'd literally try and comment back to as many people as I can. So I think that just builds up that relationship, which I think is very, very important for my style anyway and what I do. So I don't look too much into, you know, the platforms and where can we use HubSpot and where can we use Hootsuite and all these, like, you know, it's just kind of keep it a bit real. And then when things evolve and things get a bit more manic and uncontrollable, I suppose, then you start looking at what can we do to assist us a bit. In terms of the tools and what I do every day, you know, probably one of the greatest friends to you is your phone. Like, you know, I'm using the phone constantly every day. I use a bit of the camera work, but you know, I'm not using it. As I said, I'm not using the mass amount of platforms and stuff like that. I like to keep things a little bit controlled. Sometimes I think with the platforms as well is you can actually catch yourself out, which I've done in the past, and probably everyone that runs social media will do it at some stage. You know, you'll put out a post and something's happened that, oh, that's a bad post to go out now when that's happened, or you've the last half an hour by accident, or, you know, you post at 2 o'clock in the night rather than 2 o'clock in the day, you know, all these kind of things. And I think you're on top of it, and, you know, you maybe have a couple of eyes looking at a platform like that. It's kind of hard to manage it, I think.
Yeah, I think like the relationship management is a huge thing that is so important, which a lot of people they just basically don't have time for it. But if you give it the time and the love, it really comes back to you in your company. Like, it's incredible, but it is a very time consuming job. So fair play to you.
I do think it is very, very important. And I think as I always look at social media, it is another reception desk for your business. Like, it has to be treated that way. So if someone came to your reception in your shop, unfortunately we can't do it at the moment in person, but, like, you know, if anyone rang your phone or sent in an email, you wouldn't fob them off with a thumbs up, you know. You have to take a bit of time and put a bit of love into it and build up those customers and know that it is a communication platform that they can come and talk to you. That's
a great analogy, actually. It's very so David, when COVID hit, obviously, as you said, the shop isn't, you know, obviously not, people are coming to the reception desk at the moment. How did strategy change much for you? I'm presuming there was a big push on the e-commerce side of things.
Yeah, so before I came in, there was, as you said, a big push already on e-commerce. You know, we have a fairly strong website there, and that's been only been increasing over the last few months. So we sell machines, home brewing kits, obviously coffee, then, you know, and subscription services and stuff like that. That's been flying, you know, and like many food producers, I'd say, you know, a lot of anyone that sells into retail would have noticed a little bit of a bump up because, you know, the COVID panic shopping, people were buying and everyone needs coffee, you know, so it's a good, I suppose, industry business to be in. So, you know, we did benefit definitely from COVID, and, you know, it's you know, unfortunately there's not too many businesses have, and, you know, we're going to see the aftermath probably over the next couple of months of that. But you know, I think what I have liked from COVID is how many businesses have been a bit creative, and, you know, they've maybe chased new business or changed their models or changed how they did business and seeing where they can grasp new business.
Yeah, very good. We were saying in a previous podcast that one of the things that spiked was coffee sales, because obviously if you're in the office, you know, you're just getting one order to the company, but now it's like every individual home needs their lot of coffee, so they're ordering it. So there was a huge spike last year, and I presume it'll continue this year with the coffee, so it's great.
Yeah, we sell machines, and the machines are flying, thankfully, and that's because people, I suppose there's a couple of factors to it. I think, you know, you have your trends of, you know, drinks, say, like you have your gin trend, or you'll have your whiskey trend, and they'll come and they'll go, and the craft beer will come and go. I think coffee, a lot of people are getting into it. It's not that they're just drinking coffee anymore. They want to know where it's come from. They want a better coffee experience, you know, and especially now that they're at home, they can maybe be a little bit more fancy and a bit more adventurous with their coffee. So they're looking into the background stories of these businesses and what they're doing, and, you know, are they up, you know, that they got good values and all this kind of stuff. So we've been selling a lot of machines, and that follow on then, that the experience that they get from dealing with us, they'll follow on, they'll try out our different coffees. Like, you know, we have a big coffee range that a lot of people don't know about until they start searching on the site.
The one thing I always think on the coffee side, I think would be fantastic, is the way people do online, especially, you know, YouTube channels, dedicated reviews of all the different wines and stuff like that. I think that would be fantastic in the coffee space. And you know, especially on a local level, I think it's probably something that definitely hasn't been kind of touched yet. Or when I say local, I mean Ireland. So I think that there's huge opportunity, I think, still in that space from a digital content side of things that has been, I suppose, probably untapped. I would say.
It is huge, and it's only getting bigger. Like, I was only actually speaking there the last couple of days to a few of like coffee subscription services, you know, where you can get mystery coffees or specialty coffees and different ones to try each month, and they're really taking off. You know, I suppose we've seen that across a couple of industries. I suppose, you know, there was only a guy, isn't there a guy from Cork there doing this kind of similar thing with whiskies, you know, where you can get different whiskies sent out and he'll do tastings and try it out with you. And I think he was on the Late Late Show a few months back. So there's a lot of these kind of home subscription kind of services starting to creep in, because obviously, you know, a lot of people are at home and they need the experience at home because they're not going out to the pubs, and you know, we've all seen it now. And
it's a fantastic business model from the business point of view as well, because it's that recurring revenue from the product rather than the individual sale. You know, a loyal following every month purchasing your products, and they become almost like a sales team for you as well when they're getting your products every single month.
Yeah, it's the beauty of Instagram stories. People will take pictures of their coffee in the morning. You know,
coffee is a great one for Instagram. So do you focus a lot on Instagram, or what would be the favorite platforms for Velo?
Instagram would be a big one, obviously, for your customer created content. You know, they're going to send it into us most mornings, or definitely on a Sunday morning. We get a lot of it. Twitter, for some reason, you probably know this as well. Twitter is just huge in Cork. But obviously, you know, with us selling a little bit more nationwide, we're getting a lot of people using Twitter with us, but it's more so, as you know, for communication, just a chat back and forth. We would use it actually for a lot of the media people as well. You know, they would chat to us through Twitter.
Do you use it on a customer service side as well?
A little bit. Sometimes you get a couple of questions in here and there, not too much. And then we would use Facebook then for kind of a bit of a mix, but you know, we do a lot of our targeted advertising through Facebook, and we'll send sales through to the website from there. So between there and Instagram, really, so they work very well for us. You know, we don't go down the route of TikTok or anything like that. We'll see.
You haven't been dancing with coffee beans yet.
I mean, you get much reels though.
I haven't done a massive amount, no, to be honest. You know, I'm only in a couple of months, so we're kind of just building up a little bit of the content, changing the style a little bit. We done a funny kind of little Christmas video where it was a little bit of humor in it. I have a couple of other ideas coming down the line of a couple of little funny little videos. So we're just kind of trying, I suppose, not trying to change the style, but just trying to change how we operate on social a little bit. As I said, trying to build up that engagement. So we will probably, you know, experiment with a couple of different things down the line.
And that is the thing, you have to keep experimenting, like you just have to keep testing different things and see what works, see what doesn't. I think we were just talking about that, and or I was talking with Shan Horn the other day on a live, and that was kind of one of the key things I really felt that I wanted to come across in that is with your social, people can be very protective of it, I suppose. But it's so important to try different things, test them. If they don't work, grand, you learn something, you know, it didn't work. And then when you find something that does work, then keep, you know, building on that then.
Yeah, definitely. There is definitely space for experimentation, you know, but I think, you know, there's a certain level you have to be creative and fun with social, and you know, it might not be that you come across as a fun, you know, you might be a serious brand, but you have to be able to embrace it, I suppose. And we all know that from our day-to-day work, like, you know, you have to use it for what it's there for. You know, you can't just be, yes, no, good luck, email us in and we get back to you, you know.
Yeah.
So David, when you were with O'Flynn's there, any kind of, and it goes for Velo as well, any kind of tips you would have for businesses, small business owners out there, either people, the owners themselves doing social media, or the people they have managing for them? Any kind of tips you would have for them around how they should go about planning out their social? I know you said you don't really use the calendar, kind of, you know, planning it out that way, but just some tips kind of for people from your own style, basically, on how they should go about it.
I think there probably is, like, you know, there will have to be a rough, you know, a rough guideline and plan definitely to follow. But in terms of actually, you know, having total loose, like it can go kind of AWOL if you let it go totally loose. You know, you have to have some sort of plan, whether, you know, what's coming, you know, Valentine's is coming down the line, you know, we would have had Paddy's Day after it, you know, it's about keeping these kind of things in mind. Today we only put up a few posts and put out a newsletter this morning for today's Irish Coffee Day. So, you know, it's about being aware of those kind of things, you know. In terms of Flynn's, in terms of business owners running social media and stuff, you know, I think you have to realize if your business is getting to a certain level that's being neglected, you have to look at either getting a freelancer in, or is there enough there maybe for, you know, full-time or part-time. You know, you kind of have to sit to make these decisions, like, you know, and it's an investment, you know, but if you invest correctly and you invest in the right person that has the right attitude and the right skills, you should see a return on it. And, you know, so I think it's a risky investment, but, you know, it has to be done, like, you know, and that's even, you know, businesses approaching, whether it's bringing, you know, I would have been coming probably from more the freelance work, you know, so, you know, you'd have someone like me, or you'd have the option of going to someone like yourselves, you know, and then you get the beauty of having a couple of people in the offices that can knock heads together on what can do, like, you know, so there's pros and cons to both, I suppose, you know, so you have to weigh up what's there. But definitely, you know, realizing that, you know, if you've gone onto your social media, and I've seen it I was only chatting to a business owner last week, and he said, like, you know, we're not getting much traction on social. And I went on and had a look at his Facebook page, and he hadn't posted in about 2 weeks, you know, and I'm like, of course you have to, like, you know, it has to be consistency there, like, you know, consistency. So I do think that's very important, you know, that if your social media is dropping, not doing what it's meant to do, you have to evaluate it and see, you know, do we need to make an investment somewhere, or do I need to set aside, you know, times during the week? And even that's when you might look at the likes of Hootsuite or something, and just make sure that there's a little bit going out each week just to keep your pages alive until you decide, right, I need to make an investment here, do you know?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea to have organically, you know, in the moment, but then have those scheduled pieces in case you forget, like it's a really busy week that week, and you're like, oh crap, I didn't post it all. At least there's that 1 or 2 going out that are scheduled. So I'd say finding the balance depending on your company as well. But
if a business owner comes in the morning, like as you said, he's going to have a checklist of 100 things he needs to get done, and posting on Facebook is not going to be one of them. Someone like me coming into the business, like, you know, it's in your priority. That's in your checklist to get done. That, okay, I have to get social done, you know. So I think, you know, you have to find the people with the skills and the knowledge to do it.
Yeah,
brilliant altogether. In terms then, David, of the types of content you pushing, video more, image more, written, where do you have particular focus in terms of the type of content?
So I definitely I think we need to get down the route of video more. Video obviously works, you know, it just engages people that little bit more. One thing we haven't done in Velo since even before I came is a lot of written stuff. So kind of long form kind of stuff. So I do think there's a kind of a want there in the coffee industry for reading blogs and reading tips and reading about coffees. You know, you'll see it, you'll go on to many coffee companies or coffee blog magazine sites and all this, and it's people that purely geek out over coffee, you know, and it's a big industry that people love it and want to read about and want to learn about it. So we are looking at going down, doing a little bit, possibly more of that kind of content, and, you know, get a bit of a blog site page, the website up and go.
It's brilliant as well then for your organic rankings in Google as well, having that kind of really, you know, detailed long form content then on the site as well.
Yeah,
and it's another way of pushing. You know, people might think, you know, oh, my website's not going to work unless I'm, you know, pumping money into Google, like, but that kind of organic, getting people to read, they're reading on your website, so while they're there they might click across to something else, or, you know, you're trying to divert them somewhere with backlinks or whatever it is. So it's just another way of getting people onto your website without being sold to and bombarded to with ads, you know, because, you know, some people just get fed up of seeing them, you know. So I think that's one form we're going, but that will then translate possibly into, you know, if it's a good blog, we might even create a video off it, or, you know, pictures with it, you know, that kind of thing. So, you know, it's just about getting across the board different types of content. You know, there will have been a lot of I suppose stylized shots to now, because, you know, like anyone, as I said, the business owner is relying on the bank of content that's there. So now I'm in and creating a little bit more, you know, and we're looking at getting a new fresh set of content going. But as I said, a bit more video day-to-day kind of stuff on what's happening here, and, you know, what's happening up in the roastery, and what's happening out and about in stores, you know, like when all things calm down, you know, get back around, visit stores and get content around the country, you know, which I think is really interesting to see, you know, bags of coffee up in Clare or Galway or wherever we can go, you know.
Brilliant.
Do you use influencers, or how do you feel about using influencers for this brand?
It's not that I'm against using influencers. I just think that you need someone that suits your brand. You know, I don't think going and getting someone that just has 50,000 followers and is pumping a different brand out every day, to me, that's not a benefit. I want someone that's actually, you know, pardon the pun, like, what's actually influential, you know, that they're actually going to put something to their customers, or sorry, their followers, and it's going to mean something, you know. So, you know, in Cork we have a few, you know, mommy bloggers and all this kind of stuff, and, you know, people that are in that kind of sphere, they're the type of people that, you know, are customers, you know. So they're the ones we get most of the content in from day to day. Like, you know, only the other day we Clean O'Connor put in just sent us in a picture. She was trying her coffee at home along with a few other coffees, you know, and that's great content, you know, that people are, as we already talked about, they're having the experience at home. So in terms of paying for influencers, I haven't done a massive amount of it. You know, I'm much more interested in, you know, a bit of a partnership with someone a little bit more, and probably on the micro level. So, you know, we're kind of teaming up with them. Maybe it's, you know, mutual benefits or whatever it is. You know, we'll supply a bit of coffee, someone that's never really done it before. You know, but being from Cork, you know, there is so many Cork celebrities, I suppose, or media people, you know, that they're just actually interested in what we do, and they're interested in the coffee, and they're sharing it anyway, which, you know, it's not, you know, it's kind of free content for us, but it's actually really a benefit to us, and we're really appreciative when we do get stuff like that.
And do you do anything to encourage that content, David?
We don't, like, you know, some people we will send out we will send out coffee to, you know, if we see something online that triggers us to send a goodie pack to someone, we will, like, you know, like, for example, you know, we would team up with Today FM with Alison Curtis, who's a great supporter of ours. Alison Curtis then is doing giveaways on shows for the next couple of weeks and next couple of weekends, you know, and that just raises awareness about your brand again. But you have to be really picky about what following they have. You know, is it actually going to be of benefit to you? There's no point in just we'll lash on to a radio show or print in a you know, in a magazine or a newspaper, you know, if it's not your following, or it's not going to give you benefit. Because look, we all know these things, some of these things are not cheap, you know, they do cost a big bit of money, so you have to be very careful.
Brilliant altogether. David, if people are looking to get in contact with yourself or find out more about yourself, where's the best place for them to head to?
Well, you can find me on social media, I suppose. I'm on Twitter.
Shock horror.
No way.
I'm not one of these guys that uses a fork and doesn't use it for myself. Yeah, no, you can find me across all the socials, no problem. Give me a shout and I can help with.
Yeah, perfect. We'll link all of your social handles in the show notes as well.
David, thanks very much for joining us today.